We can. We can't. We can. Hello, hello, hello. Oh my goodness. We are live. It's Wednesday night. It's summertime. This is exciting on the Crowdcast platform. Okay, let's go. What is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we are here on the Crowdcast platform every Wednesday night. This is episode 583. I am your host, Steve V, alongside partner in crime, Kodi Maurice Doggette over in Brooklyn. How you doing,
Woo.
Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful this evening. So lovely to see your face, and I can't wait to see you soon in person on Friday.
Yes, for all listeners, fans, and all of the above, Cody's birthday, he's a Cancer, and his birthday is Monday night. And yes, so
Yeah.
wish Cody a happy birthday. We are celebrating on the weekend,
Yes.
and we're super excited to celebrate your birthday. So,
Thank you. I'm excited too. I can't wait. We're gonna have a great time. So yeah.
yes. Yeah, I love it. We are in front of a live virtual audience as we are every Wednesday night. I see some familiar faces. Hi, Doug. Hi, Durand. Loved seeing you all. Feel free to message us, weigh in on the hot topics that we've got going for you tonight. On this day, I just got back from the beach. I literally, with my new boyfriend, I feel like
Ooh.
now, Cody, before it was like, I got a lot of like flack for, okay, we get it, you have an OnlyFans, and
Oh.
apparently I said it a lot. Now it's going to be like, we get it, Steve, you have a boyfriend. I know it, that's how people are, but whatever. I have a new boyfriend, and we went to Asbury Park today earlier, which I would have never done on a day we have a show today, but we were off on Monday because I pre-recorded a show you all need to listen to. I think I have the book over here. It's called But Seriously by Dr. Goldstein.
Ooh.
And this book is a must for tops, bottoms, and everything in between. You
Gotta read
need
it.
this. It's a must. And I love plugging this book because we love Dr. Goldstein. It's so good. And I pre-recorded this last week. And so we were off on Monday when we normally record our
Mm-hmm.
other show, TAGSPodcast, the OG. And I was ahead of schedule. So I said, yes, let's go to Asbury Park. And we had a great time in the hot sun, but of course I had an umbrella. There was a
Nice.
bar nearby, Cody. It was a Wednesday, so the beach was not busy.
Too
It's kind
crowded
of an
sometimes.
LGBTQ Asbury Park beach, so I saw some queens here and there, which was a lot of
Ooh.
fun. Yeah, it was a lovely day, and we had a nice lunch on the boardwalk to finalize it before we headed back here. And so super fun, great
Love it,
day.
love it.
Yeah,
I saw the promo that you shot at Asbury Park. It was beautiful. It looked beautiful. You look beautiful, of course. And don't
oh,
worry about the
please.
haters. You know what? Be happy, live your life, and shout it from the rooftops, darling. Okay?
Thank you. We want to, we've been promoting our Patreon page partly because we are finalizing it up, and we are now giving away the things that we have promised on our new Patreon page. When you join it at two different perks, there's actually three, but the two that we're talking about are the virgin and the sub tier that you can join. There's a sugar daddy one as well. You get
I
extra
mean,
special perks, and one of them went out today, yesterday, for our other show, is commercial free. If you don't like the commercials you hear in our show, you can donate, and you can actually grab a tier on our Patreon page, and then you get commercial free. Tomorrow we are putting out our first ever an extra episode of
ooh,
us, of topics you won't hear on this show, extra topics, and that one goes out tomorrow to our Patreon pages. If you want to also get these perks and show your love for this show, go to patreon.com/tags podcast and grab a tier. It's that
Love it.
easy. And yes, we love it for you. All the support we've been seeing. Well, there's a lot of hot, juicy topics that we need to get into. I'm putting my reading glasses on because starting with, many of us in America know that the Republican National Convention is on right now. And Kodi, I've just been having a side eye on the conference because I don't want to like be too focused on it, but I don't want to have my head in the sand like I had it in today. But I want to keep up with what's going on. And somebody that was kind of not a supporter of Donald Trump, Amber Rose, she's a model, a former model, right? Essentially, and influencer, if you will. Yeah, I don't even know what she was, but she gained a lot of attention recently, showing her support for Donald Trump. And she also was at the RNC giving her love and talking about Donald Trump at the convention. Well, one person that was not having it was somebody that we like on the show, Jay Rodriguez. Jay Rodriguez, of course, is from the OG Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. You all know him, Jay Rodriguez. And Jay had a whole problem with her because he had worked with her in the past. They were on her podcast before, when she showed her love for the LGBTQ community. And he decided to speak up. He said that he was fucking furious and uploaded a video expressing his disdain for Rose's words. He said, "I'm fucking furious. I'm currently fucking livid. I am livid because one person who took the liberty for speaking on my behalf, on behalf of the entire LGBTQ plus community," Rodriguez said. He deleted clip. He said she had the audacity tonight to say Donald Trump doesn't care if you are gay, straight, or bi. And then he mentioned how he appeared on Rose's Loveline podcast, where, she doled out sex and relationship advice alongside queer therapist Chris Donahue. And the syndicated radio show has since been rebooted, but he was not a fan. He said, "I was a fan. I even did Loveline with you, and we had a nice kiki. However, tonight I saw what you said at the RNC. Amber, keep the LGBTQ plus name out of your mouth," he wrote. "Are you aware that your select for president has enlisted more anti-LGBTQ plus legislation? Thank you. Can you not think he is trying to take us backwards? How dare you say he doesn't care if you are LGBTQ plus? He does, or he wouldn't have legislated the way he has. Your speech tonight was pure and utter garbage. Don't ever speak for us again. You all go vote, because this shit gonna continue for some time." I mean, a lot to unpack there, and I think that I'm glad that he did speak up, because whether you know her or not, I think she's kind of a prominent face, and she caused a lot of stir at the RNC, and she seemingly has flip-flopped here and there. And, everybody gets to vote for who they want to vote for. I like that he did speak up on his platform, but I also want to call him out a little bit, because then he took it down on his platform. I think when the heat got a little tense, because this went viral, him calling her out, and it seemed like when it did, he probably got a lot of hate. And it's like, if you're going to stand by your words, stand by your words. You got to take it all. You could turn up the comments, but why take it down? I mean, we're talking about what he said, but I say, Jay, her video and her at the RNC is going to stay up there forever. Why did you take your video down on your social media, is what I have to say to Jay.
Oh, I could not agree more. I think that he should have stood 10 toes down and stood in his truth and kept it up there, and F all the haters, like I said earlier, about whatever. But I think that him doing this and taking it down is kind of saying that indirectly that the haters are going to win, and we can't allow that. Not in this. We have to always be vigilant to make sure that the people that are trying to take away our rights and our our self-worth and who we are as a people and who we would like to be out into the world. I think that they're trying to discriminate against us and take and have us put us back in the closet, basically. Now, Amber Rose is a part of the LGBTQ plus community. She identifies as bisexual, from what I understand, or she did previously. So I do think that she has a right to speak for herself as part of the LGBTQ plus community, but she can't speak for everybody in the LGBTQ plus community because, like Jay Rodriguez said, Donald Trump rolled back a lot of protections against LGBTQ plus people, and I think that is counterintuitive for Amber Rose to be out here supporting him. I really wonder what's going on in her brain and in as far as, or if she even has one at this point, or because it really seems just ridiculous and counterproductive to what her messaging has been previously. She's all about not calling women sluts. She's all about LGBTQ plus people. She seems to be about women's rights, and it's bad branding as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I wish people would start to look at where the direction of the Trump campaign is headed. And we're not a political show, but when it comes to our rights and our LGBTQ statuses, I think we have to kind of listen to some of these political messages. And you're right, he has, when he was in presidency, taken away a lot of our rights, but he is projected to take away more with his campaign, many of ours. There's talk of rolling back our right to get married, or just look at women's rights and abortion. It doesn't take a brain scientist to look at what the actual messaging is, and I think everybody should do that, and everybody should vote. And that's our soapbox for tonight on politics.
We might have another soapbox coming up in just a second.
We will. Yeah, exactly. But exactly. We got a lot to get through. Let's keep it rolling as Elon Musk and X, or Twitter platform, suspended more than 200 LGBTQ plus marketing accounts without explanation, and a lot of them had to do with Pink Media. Pink Media known for its strategic engagement with diverse LGBTQ plus audience, found itself shut down many of its accounts by X, allegedly due to user report of violating platform rules. There's not a lot of information on that, and to this point we still don't know why these accounts were taken down, but many of Pink Media's accounts that were under it were challenging a lot of the things that are out there during Pride Month, that, you know, businesses, if you will, that are supporting the community that maybe they didn't think normally support the community, but maybe we're doing it during Pride Month, seemingly were taken down. But other accounts actually were taken down as well. And it was just, I think there's really no answer right now on why, Kodi, they took these accounts down. And I just think we are, you know, I use X right now, Twitter right now, for my OnlyFans, just for fans, to promote that. I have them promote this show on it. And I immediately ran over there to see, was my account taken down? And I think we're, as an LGBTQ plus community, always at the mercy of these higher platforms. We don't know, and we're always the first to be taken down. I remember even on Instagram, our 2 accounts were taken down for TAGSPodcast for no seemingly good reason, and we couldn't even get it back up. And it was so frustrating. And I think we're the first to be targeted when it comes to these kinds of issues. It's frustrating. You never get answers for why they took it down. And I don't know, when you hear this, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we just went from a trash Amber Rose to more trash Elon Musk. And it's ridiculous. And I think that you're right. We do get discriminated against more as on these social platforms, maybe because we are the easiest targets, maybe because the right wings, they have so much say so it what goes on in these platforms. I'm not quite sure, but I do know that I've felt it before. I've felt it on Instagram, I felt it on Twitter, and makes me not want to even be on Twitter. And I think that that might be a solution that a lot of people are coming to, because I've seen a mass exodus from Twitter as far as people just leaving it and going to other platforms and that are more welcoming. I do think that there's an issue with that as far as just completely giving it over to the complainers and the haters and things of that nature, because now Twitter is like a cesspool basically, and it's all just people complaining and saying horrible things, and I don't think it's okay. I think that we need to fight back and make sure that we have spaces in these platforms, because it's so, our voices are so essential. So I do think that we should fight more for, where our place in this world.
Yeah, I mean, and while I agree, it's easy to kind of step away from X, Twitter. For people that have adult content, it's the one platform right now that we have access to promote our adult content that is not, taking us down, Kodi. And I think that that's really one of the only platforms that we have right now that we can promote it. I mean, if you
Yeah.
try and promote it on Instagram, on Facebook, you're shut down immediately. And that's just kind of the bare minimum. You can't even put things like OnlyFans on, say, when I promote over YouTube. If I put OnlyFans even in the listing of my promotion, it gets taken down. Like that's illegal according to those platforms. So I just
Really?
think there's yes, for adult content creators, there's very few platforms. And why many of us stick with it is because it's the only one. But we also want
Mhm.
to call out when we see atrocities for seemingly no reasons, taking down innocent accounts. We also want to call that account. And Doug watching us live says, my account was permanently suspended for no reason also. And that's, yeah, see, and was that recently, Doug? Because it seems to be sort of a current theme. And yeah, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason as to what their whole thing is. It's really sad too, because when you trust a platform and you give them, they're using you as well.
Yeah.
And and
To
then
train
you
their
have no
AI.
say. And it's just, Doug says it was 2 weeks ago. And that's just crazy. That, I'm sorry, Doug, because I know exactly how that feels. Like I said, we've had 2 Instagram accounts taken down for this show where we were seemingly talking about, sexuality, sex progressiveness, and yeah, and
Yeah.
it's frustrating. So, okay,
And Doug
well,
was probably out there just living his best gay life, and boom, all of a sudden, just because
yeah,
discrimination. Sad.
exactly. Okay, well, we wanted to shout out recently to a city I'm from, San Francisco, recently. And many of you probably know that San Francisco has been going through a little bit of turmoil recently it's just had a tough time with homelessness, with drug addiction. And in the Castro, which is the LGBTQ neighborhood, recently a guy was actually confronted by another guy and with a weapon, but it was nudists. You heard me right. Nudists in the Castro who saved the tourists from crazy guys with a blowtorch. What are we talking about? A tourist in San Francisco's Castro was saved from an attacker by an unlikely source, nudist. Pete Safara and Lloyd Fishback were strolling through the Castro without a stitch of clothing. And if you know anything about California or Northern California, this is not that crazy. And when they witnessed a crazy kind of pirate guy threatening a man with a blowtorch, that's right, a blowtorch, they immediately sprang into action with no clothes on. And the video, I will post this on TAGSPodcast.com, is amazing because this crazy guy was threatening this tourist, Brazilian tourist, and he had a blowtorch. One guy that I believe was not a nudist grabbed it, but then the 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 guy hit the tourist with his fist. Did you watch this,
I
Kodi?
did. It was
And
wild.
and once he hit him, the 2 nudists came in and smacked him too, smacked the guy in the head, and it all went down. And authorities came in, thank goodness, afterwards. But this is a really good example of when you see something, not just say something, but do something. And I'm not telling everybody to put yourself in harm's way, but if it's kind of like this situation with some person and there's two of you, do something. Don't let somebody sit there and get hit with a blowtorch. I mean, this is something that I love about where I'm from. I mean, I told you in our meeting earlier that I went to school at Berkeley, and there was the nudist guy, and he went to classes. And hey, don't ever be mad at people just being naked, because they could save your life.
That's right. And I will have a question for you. Do you think that nude superheroes wear capes? Because I don't know. I think that they
Not necessary, apparently.
So the cape is not necessary. I get it. That's totally fine. But they really did their thing. This is such a wild story, because normally the naked people are the ones that are could be causing a commotion
in
a little
Florida.
But here, that's not the case.
Not in San Francisco.
Not in San Francisco, baby. So yeah, I do think that this is something that it's great, and I'm glad that these two nudists were out there and they were able to help this person. I think this country really needs to address the mental health issue, especially with people that are unhoused, and because it's becoming rampant. I hear way too many stories like this from friends. I experience it when I walk through the street. You know what? I was actually walking down the street here today, and I saw an altercation, what I perceived to be an altercation between two people. And my immediate response was to kind of step in and see if I could assist the person that I saw as the one that was getting picked on. And I was going to say something, like you said. I was going to ask her if she needed any help, if she's okay. And thankfully, it turned out to be like a friendly exchange, and they were just having a little bit of banter. But I hear what you're saying. If you see something that does not look correct to you, don't be afraid to ask if somebody is okay, if they need some assistance. You don't necessarily have to get involved in the altercation. You can just see if they need help and do what you need to do in order to make sure that that person is okay.
Yeah, but they were threatening this guy, and it was, I think, very obvious that he was
Obvious.
threatening them with a blowtorch. And so these guys were minding their business, naked, hanging out, and they jumped in. And it just made me happy to know that human nature is still good, and that we stand up for ourselves in the Castro, naked and unafraid. And I
That's
love
right.
it.
Get it.
Yes, naked and unafraid. Okay, let's move on to somebody that has been in the news for a while, and I'm talking about actor Armie Hammer. We all loved him in that movie, Call Me by Your Name. Yes.
That's what the name of the movie is. I don't know if I loved him.
The original. Oh, you didn't love it? I loved it. Armie Hammer, who was such a hit as an actor, says that his cannibalism sexts with women were nothing compared to what guys say to each other on Grindr. And this immediately caught my attention, because I'm like, wait a minute, are we not taking responsibility for what we put out there, and now we're throwing gays under the bus? Kinda, if you ask me. Here's what he said. He said, I cheated on my wife. I used people to make me feel better. I was callous and inconsiderate with people and their emotions and their well-being. I wanted what I wanted, and I was going to take it at any cost, even if it was at an emotional cost of someone else. And that is shitty behavior, he says. There are things in my behavior that I have taken accountability for, because this is pivotal for me learning and growing from it. That would have been fine if he would have just stopped there. However, he went on to say, if somebody looks at any behavior and goes, I don't like that, that's okay. By the way, he says, all of my gay friends, this is the part caveat that I'm like, all of my gay friends were like, honey, I saw your text messages. That's it. They go, oh my God, if people hacked into Grindr and put Grindr chats public, none of us would have jobs anymore. And I was like, why not just take responsibility for your own actions and what you put out there? Even if your gay friends, even if Kodi, Armie Hammer's gay friends did say that, why throw us under the bus like that? How many gay friends, first of all, does he even have?
It's one.
Was number one question. Why you got to throw us under the bus? And I would also say that there's a lot of shitty things that happen on Grindr and the apps, but those are things that people are talking to each other. Yours were text messages about cannibalistic types of measures to other women.
Mm-hmm.
What people say on the apps is often shitty and gross, but I guarantee you, if somebody said something on the apps on Grindr cannibalistic like, you could turn that person in and they would be like, believe me, there would be an investigation because you can't see stuff like that. So
Yeah.
he's really, it's apples and oranges is my mind. And why did he have to throw us under the bus, Kodi?
I don't know. I don't want to be associated with that man. He could keep that over there. It sounds to me like he does not want to take accountability for this. He wants to normalize cannibalism and abuse to these women that he subjected mental abuse to. Because from what I understand, that was also a part of it. If it was just between two consenting adults, the topic of perhaps cannibalism, then I could see a little bit more that, you know, that's between them. I mind my own business all the time. But there was abuse that was going down as well, from my understanding. I don't know what kind of LGBTQ plus people he is hanging out with, but he needs to keep them over there because they do not speak for me like Amber Rose don't speak for us, okay? Because I was just on Grindr today and, you know, it was lovely. We had a lovely conversation about what they're doing
Lovely.
today. And we were
Trumpets, darling.
it was like I was on Bridgerton with cockpicks.
If only being on Grindr was a lovely and amazing
It was.
experience. I love it.
I'm not eating nobody on there, okay?
Okay. Yeah, don't throw us under the bus. It's
We
like
don't
take accountability for, you know, if you've been found innocent, which I think he has. I think they've dropped the investigation on him. Great. But don't go on other platforms talking about your behavior and comparing it to our community and Grindr and what allegedly all your gay friends, who are all these gay friends that said this? And don't throw us, basically throwing us under the bus is what he did.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you thought what I did, look at my gay friends who says what they do is like worse. It's like, how did we get thrown under the bus? We weren't under investigation. You were, while you've been maybe appeased by it. It like, how did we get like, it's, you know, if I was his gay friends, I'd be like, fuck you. We're no longer friends anymore, motherfucker. Like,
that's right. Keep our gay name out of your mouth,
you.
okay?
Like, we are fighting the good fight here. Watch our show. Do not throw us, like, he did not need to throw gays under the bus. It was just like, come on. Ugh, white men sometimes.
Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer sometimes. Well, we have to shout out to somebody that we do love and that we do want to celebrate. And we lost her the other day, but at the ripe old age, I believe, of 96. And I'm talking about Dr. Ruth. Yes, we always loved Dr. Ruth, that she was an LGBTQ plus ally who reminded us to have good sex. I mean, come on.
What's not to love?
You know, what's not to like about 96-year-old Dr. Ruth, one of the world's most well-beloved and regarded sex therapists whose frank discussions about sexuality helped change the way the rest of us talked about it. Thank you so much, Dr. Ruth, for this show as well, because without you, I don't think we could have this show. And I really mean that. She says we'd say she basically normalized sex talk and the way we talk about it way before it was cool. Born in Germany in 1928 to a Jewish family, Westheimer fled the Holocaust at 10 years old and became an orphan when her parents were killed in concentration camps. And she has said that her experience as a Jewish immigrant is what helped shape her worldview, voicing the somehow radical idea that everyone should be treated with respect. We salute you. We salute you, Dr. Ruth. We salute you. May you rest
Yes.
in power. And we thank you for your incredible contribution to the power of talking about sex in a progressive fashion. And that has translated to our show 7 years later, talking about sex progressiveness for our LGBTQ plus community.
That's right. She opened so many doors just talking about and being frank about sex. I remember seeing her on the television when I was very young, and still it wasn't distasteful, it wasn't graphic, but it was about owning your power. And I love Dr. Ruth. She's our North Star. So thank you so much, Doctor.
She really is, right? I
She
mean,
is, yeah.
it's exciting. So yes, we salute you, Dr. Ruth. Okay, well, somebody else that we are calling out in a good way is Adam Lambert, because he was recalling recently how record execs reacted to his 2009 American Music Awards performance. And if you remember, he had just won, he didn't win though, right, Kodi? He was runner
I don't
up.
believe so. I think he
Yeah,
was
he
runner up.
didn't win, but he was fresh off of American Idol, and this was kind of his first foray into performances. And I just watched it. It was 2009, and it was a really awesome. I'll post it on TAGSPodcast.com. You can look it up. It was very out there. He's singing his current song at the time. It's his first single going back to 2009, and he has guys like gyrating at his crotch. He is making out with a guy, and it probably shouldn't seem that progressive at the time when you think about people like Madonna, who's done way more than that, but it was a guy at the time doing it. He was from American Idol, but he says that I think there was always for years a little dash of like PTSD from that experience on the AMAs when they did that sexualized performance, and it had this whole controversy from it. It's not that the controversy was the public, that the public was really bothered. It was more like the industry side. He felt a collective gasp, and he goes on to say that, well, they never said anything. He felt it, and it changed the way he reacted to a lot of everything. He's since changed his team, and now he can look back at it with, he did the right thing and people weren't really ready for it. But when you hear this, especially somebody like yourself, Kodi, that has new music that you're coming out with, that I'm assuming you want to be your full person and express yourself. What do you think about Adam Lambert when in 2009 he's reflecting back on his performance that the industry wasn't there for? And remember, he had big time labels backing him at the time.
Yes, he did, and he was supposed to. He was projected to be such an enormous star, and he is. But I feel like I do feel like him coming out, but it kind of hindered him a little bit, and that was just the reality of being in 2009 and being an artist. I feel like now with Lil Nas X, first of all, he pushed the boundaries as far as gay men is concerned. So thank you to him, because I don't think without him there could be a Lil Nas X, there could be a Troye Sivan that are doing all these
Dixon
things.
Dallas.
Dixon Dallas. There's so many artists out there right now that
you've listed. Yeah, go ahead.
Can live in their truth and be authentically themselves. If it wasn't for him, kind of taking
as
quote
gay
unquote
men, we got to talk about that as gay men,
as
right?
gay men. I'm talking specifically as gay men, because I feel like for women, like you said, Madonna, they kiss on stage. I feel like Melissa Etheridge did a lot of some things before, as far not necessarily kissing, but maybe some things that alluded to her sexuality. I think as far as the male gaze goes, the straight male gaze goes, lesbianism and things that have to do with women on women, that is more acceptable. Yeah, so I think that as far as gay men are concerned, that a lot of people still don't necessarily vibe with it, and I think that Adam Lambert has done his due diligence in pushing that boundary a little bit more forward. So I have to thank him, and he's letting me be a better artist now, because back then I still wanted to be in music, but I didn't know how I could make my way into that, being myself, and that was always something that I struggled with. But now it's so much better. So thank you, Adam.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool that he went from such a huge platform as American Idol that was so iconic, especially in 2009, and doing so well on that. And
Hmm.
then here's his first single, and he's at the AMAs, and he puts this first single out, and he does his first performance that's super sexualized. He has the label backing him up. And while it wasn't totally said into his face, he felt it. And I think you know when that people are not vibing with you and business is not aligning with what your
Hmm.
goal is, and the timing might not be right. But good for him for sticking it through, and now he can actually resonate on it and think about it and have feelings about it. And he's still going forth with his messaging, and he's had a great career. He is the front member of Queen. When Queen goes out on the road, they have used him for the Freddie Mercury role, and he's had a successful career with that. But now he has his own music, so he's
Oh
done
yeah,
really well, and that's
that's a big gig,
a
and
huge
Queen is
gig.
amazing. Yeah, so good for
Yeah,
him.
come on, Queen, come on. Come on. All right. Well, I didn't know if we wanted to talk about this next. Let's talk about this. Do we want to talk about it, Frankie?
You
Move
want to
on.
skip it? I mean,
Skip it. Yeah.
yeah, go on.
Let's skip it because this is going to be kind of an interesting topic. And there was a recent question and debate online, gay Twitter, gay X, whatever you want to call it, of is there a defined way for tops and bottoms to actually greet each other? The
Oh.
gays have debated. And if you know the past, we've always talked about the hanky code, where
Hmm.
back in the day, in the 70s, you would actually wear a hanky. Today, I was wearing a pink hanky code, which means spanking, but I a word on my left side, which means I like to spank. I'm not sure if
I'm
my
learning new
boyfriend
things.
knew that I wanted to spank him, but yeah,
Oh
that
my.
yeah, I mean,
Get
come on.
it.
But I also like the color pink too, so it's kind of my color. We are not in the hanky code period and time anymore, but it does bring up the like online. So back in the day, if you were to imagine that was the way that you would communicate if you wanted to be railed or pound, you could use things like the hanky code. Well, now on social media, the gays are debating whether tops and bottoms should actually reserve a certain salutation for one another. And one person said a bottom approached him with, quote, "Hey, cutie," which sends a mixed message. A bottom approached a top with, "Hey, cutie." Quote, "A bottom just said, 'Hey, cutie' to me, which is pretty fucked up," says said person, "because I'm supposed to say that. They're supposed to say, 'Hi, handsome.'" Is it? I mean, though he says the observation was meant to be satirical, there is truth behind every joke. And as gay people, we have different ways of speaking. Okay. There's
Okay.
long and proud history of gay specific slang, which often speaks to specific acts and roles in the bedroom. So you can say things like "can host," "hit me up HMU," "hit me up later," "I'm just looking for NSA," "no strings attached," as long as you're not DLNPNC on the down low. Or what's NPNC, Kodi?
No pic, no chat.
Got it. Love it. So it brings up the whole thing like, I mean, when you're talking to somebody, does it matter if somebody says, "Hey, cutie," or does it kind of matter if a bottom is saying that to you, which you're specifically normally a top?
Generally speaking, I'm a verse top, like 90% top, 10%. Who doesn't get one a little a little pokey poke every now and then? Yeah, I
But
do think
but seriously,
but seriously, I do think it does send a mixed message, but I don't think it's anything to get up in arms about, because a compliment
to
is a
get your
compliment
speedo up in a roll.
in a bunch in your booty crack. Okay.
I
I
mean, maybe not the way I would want to be spoken to. I mean, I don't know that I ever say "Hey, cutie," but whatever. It's not that serious. I am the first person not to comment on this because I don't really use the apps. I've said that ad nauseum,
Mhm.
but you do. And do
Yeah.
you have certain language that you use and certain language that is ew?
I mean, if you're handsome, you're handsome. I use specific language for per person.
The
If you look
situation.
exactly, there's not one blanket situation that goes on out there in the world. I think that if you tailor it to specifically that person or what you perceive for that person in that moment, which can always change, of course, then you use that language that you think they will be most receptive to. So
So, hey, motherfucker is never a good one because I use that a lot.
yeah, I use "Hey slut" a lot. So
Are these not good like sayings? I
I don't know.
mean,
We'll find out, right?
how about hey MF? James watching us live says, I can't stand people who online who get mad about how you reach out. I said sup once and he said it was toxic.
So
Not
I will
toxic.
not. If you say sup to me, I probably won't respond. Honestly,
Oh,
I'm not gonna
James, did you
call.
hear that from our
I'm.
host?
I'm not going to say you're toxic because I think that's taken a little bit too far. But generally speaking, I'm not. I don't rock with that. I
I
like a
mean,
compliment.
wait, bring it down. Bring
I
it.
mean, I'm just saying.
So if somebody just says sup, like they're just trying to get like your attention, like what's up is really what they're saying.
Nah,
You're like,
no.
there's
I
a
don't. I
problem.
I'm not going to respond to that. That's not something that will
Call Armie
get my
Hammer,
attention.
and there's like now we're like cannibalism just
If they
because
say I
he
want to
said
eat your
sup.
fingers and that gets my attention, no, not really. Yeah, stuff doesn't. I want a compliment. I want to be complimented constantly. So if you ever want to date
Oh,
me,
you're like a golden retriever.
I am. I really, and that's how
I'm like a chow
you hold on
chow,
to me.
like aloof, and you're
Like, leave me alone, darling.
yeah.
And I need
No, that's
all the
not true.
loving
But
all the time.
he
Yeah.
goes on.
So,
James says, who's watching his live, says, I was matching his profile energy.
and
Okay,
that's
well,
fine. But I can't believe somebody would call somebody else toxic for a greeting. That's just ridiculous to me because you don't know. And if you don't like it, just say, I generally don't respond well to sup. So, but we can start over.
but okay, so let's bring it closer to what this conversation was, top, bottom, energy. I think that this article is going a little bit further along the road where, you know, I think it's hard. Like we're having trouble even saying like, is sup okay to say? It's hard to even get someone's attention. And once you get and that they're even going to respond back to you. I think this article is assuming that we're already like there. And these days, I feel we're not. Just to get somebody to respond back to you like that you're somewhat interested in before you even get into sexual positions is a whole thing. And I think when I was trying the apps in the past, as somebody that's more versatile, I was just trying to see who I could vibe with.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even thinking top bottom, but because I think it's so hard these days to just get someone's attention.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. That's why, I feel like there's so many options out there, and I feel like that is why a lot of people feel like maybe overlooked. I felt it before. I felt like maybe there have been times when I reached out to somebody and they didn't respond, and that's totally fine. That's completely their choice. But I do think that there's so many options out there, and that's why people feel like they are being ignored sometimes. So I hear
Got
what you're
it.
saying, and yeah, I think it's just an issue with there being so many options, especially with Grindr. Now that it's digital, everything is digital.
Let's say sort of on brand because there was a recent really interesting article on out.com by Bernardo Sim, who entitled his article A Modern Guide to Cruising Etiquette in the Digital Age. And he does a really good job of talking about cruising throughout the years and how you would go to a bar. We go to a bar here in New York City. If you go to Europe, there's plenty of bars that are cruise bars. And what I mean by that is when there's a back room and you can kind of cruise and find your sexual hookup. But this article was about cruising in the modern age of the digital age. And it got even sniffies, which is tooting themselves as essentially the online platform where you can actually meet people in a cruising platform. Sniffies Cruisers, they said Sniffies intentionally randomizes the coordinates of every user and group such that actual coordinates are never sent to our servers and never available to others. And why did they say that? Well, they said that because people were planning an orgy recently with 54 guys, and people were screen capturing the actual coordinates of where people were having this orgy. While it was intended for the 54 guys or people, other people were essentially getting access to this where this was happening. And that's why they said that they randomized the coordinates. And it's not the first time that a screenshot from a dating app has surfaced on social media, and it probably won't be the last. However, there are ways to actually cruise online that are similar, Kodi, to cruising in real life. And one of them, cruising isn't typically a slow and or scheduled activity. So you don't cruise slowly, Kodi. You cruise, it's pretty...
You cruise fast.
Yeah, and if you're using the apps, you want it right now, right here, right now. I feel like that's a Janet Jackson song.
They really want it right here.
There is no like slow grind here. Thank you so much. And that's why when you're on those apps, you pretty much need to be ready to go. Don't turn it on if you're not ready to go. And I like that. Do you agree with that, number one?
No, I don't. But, you know, I'm having lovely conversations, Bridgerton conversations on Grindr. So with tea and crumpets, darling. Yes.
WTF on Bridgerton and cruising, but okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I like to get to know somebody before I go slay them. Ram my dick in their mouth.
Fair enough. Eye contact, number two, is a prominent method of communication in cruising, and it really is. But of course, you don't have eye contact when you're doing things like sniffies, correct? And so when you don't have that and you're setting up sniffies interests, you might want it doesn't... I think if you're using sniffies for that, you're not going to get that. But when you do go to an event that's hooked up by sniffies, look those guys in the eyes, because that's one of the best ways to connect with other people. Do you agree with that one?
Oh, 100%. It is essential. Eye contact. Eye fucking.
Okay. According to this article, number three is communication is appropriate, but chit chat is not. I agree. First of all, if I'm hooking up, I don't want much chit chat at all. And I think that keep it to a minimum, right? I mean, we chat so much on this show, and people are... I love chatting on the show. Yeah. It's what we do, but I don't want to do that when I'm trying to hook up with people. Do you agree or not agree?
Oh yeah. When I'm there, it's let's get it on. Like, let's put on the Al Green and the Marvin Gaye, and let's just do it, baby.
Okay, you might want to change those old, outdated artists to some newer ones.
Let's Get It On is a Marvin Gaye song, so that's why I said that. But I said Al Green first.
Number four, dress to undress, not to impress. I like this one too, because if you're trying to get down and dirty, it's like, well, I love a good fashion moment. You can look at some of my Instagram. When you're trying to cruise, it's not all about the fashion moment. It's less is more. Do you not agree, Mr. Always Showing Your Tits?
I totally agree. But I can show my tits and still have on the gym shorts underneath where they're easy access. Can I pause you for 2 seconds? Bryce says he can't have sex unless both parties prepare to speak a monologue. So more Bridgerton for us.
Okay. You and your Bridgerton friend over here can like recite lines from Shakespeare, and let's see how that goes. I mean, maybe, hey. Number five, what happens in cruising should stay in cruising, meaning don't talk about it later and put it on blast. What stays in Vegas, come on, right? Do you agree with me or not?
100%, boo.
Love it. Yes,
First
exactly. I
rule about
mean,
first rule about sex club is don't talk about sex club.
I love it. Okay. Well, we love to give advice on this show, and we always have plenty to say. I think this one would relate to kind of what we're talking about. It comes from Reddit. You can always DM us. We'll give our handles at the end of the show. This one comes from Reddit and it says orgies, post hookup etiquette. They want some etiquette after a orgy hookup. Hi, I've attended a couple of orgies now and really love the raw sexual freedom they have. I'm a furry, so I've mostly gone to just furry themed ones. I've loved topping at them, but I'm wondering what's the sort of etiquette after? Like, I rail someone for a good 30 minutes or so and have a great time. Do I ask for their numbers? Should I say thank you or something? Just feels a bit awkward as my first introduction to this person is folding them in half. I grew up in rural America, so this is all kind of new to me. And I don't want to be rude or anything, but I'm not
Oh,
sure what the expectations post hookup should be. Is am I just overthinking this? 100% you're overthinking this.
yes.
Because orgies, I think, are meant to be like fun sex, raw sex, go for it. And I mean, if you have a connection with somebody, then you could ask them for it if you just wanted to have more with them. But you
Mhm.
do not owe anybody anything in a post orgy situation. What do you say?
So this is reminding me of I was watching some stand up. I think it was by Mateo Lane, who I love, by the way. So funny. And he was saying that he was doing some audience work and two people that were in the audience met at an orgy and they're in a relationship right now. So you never know who you can meet at this orgy. So go ahead and ask for their number if you want to. Me personally, I'm not here for all that. I'm going to get it done and then leave. If you are especially good, I will give you a nice compliment that says, "You're such a good boy. You said you did good, you did a good job. You know what, baby, that was fantastic." Something like along that nature, and then I'm turning around and I am leaving because this is not. I'm not here to make connections, and that's coming from me, the person who thinks that they can turn, whatever. I get very attached after the first time having sex. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
but
think
not
you're
in the
right.
orgy state.
I think if you connected with somebody at that orgy, which I think is awesome, and you have a little mini discussion and you're not getting loud, because if they're still going on in the room over there, if you want to pull to the side
Go to
and
the
have a
kitchen.
little convo and say, "Hey, that was really hot. Can I get your number?" And if they say yes, and that could just mean another hookup for another time because it was really hot, I
Yeah.
say that's fine. But other than that, I think keep it light, go for the experience of what an orgy really means. An orgy really means, or like, I think the root word is probably like, it means many people. So you're not
I
trying to
agree with
have
that.
like a one-on-one experience. You're trying to have a multi-dimensional experience, like origami, if you will. Get it? Orgy, origami. And
Oh,
you're
I love
trying
it.
to really have a sexual experience for yourself that is pushing your boundaries. And so that should really be the intention of the moment. But like I said, if you connect with somebody, there's no reason why you can't get their Insta or their number.
I've done that
And
too.
yeah, of course. But also don't think too seriously about it
Yeah.
either, because this isn't speed dating. This isn't like it's not a picnic. It is what
Yeah.
it is. Treat it like what it is. Enjoy this moment and your freedom that you have allowed yourself to go to an orgy and really indulge yourself. Take precautions that are needed for you, but enjoy that you allowed yourself to go to an orgy. Enjoy what an orgy really means. Think
Yeah. And
origami.
I actually Googled it and it doesn't have anything to do with origami, but I'm sorry.
But hey, I'm more right on. then
That's a wonderful definition, and I love self definitions. But the root of the word is Greek. It's a Greek word from orgia, and it means secret rites or rebels. So yeah,
okay.
the more you
All
know.
right. I love it. Okay, well, we love our final segment that's called Thirst Trap. It's produced by Straight Up Gay Porn, and we are in the halfway point of Straight Up Gay Porns, where they always ask the question, out of these gay porn stars, who took the best photo? And this week it's 12 gay porn stars, and I have to say, I put it in those watching us live. I'll put it on TAGSPodcast.com. Click on it, and the only thing I ask is that you vote. Our job on an audio podcast, because this gets reformatted tomorrow for audio land, is to vividly describe why we picked the one. And Kodi and everybody listening, actually vote at the end of it, because this goes into picking the thirst trap king at the end of the year. So don't just tell us, vote, because we want to keep Straight Up Gay Porn doing their good work and that they're doing. And this week I thought was actually very sexy. I thought that they had a really good pooling of people, and I had a tough time picking who I was going to go for, but I mean, come on, Hot Axel
I knew you were
was,
gonna pick him.
yeah, but I don't think I'm going to pick him because he's the
Really?
obvious choice. And
He's
the one
so
I'm going to
hot
pick
though.
is Tim Kruger. Tim Kruger,
Oh.
because see, when you know a little something, you know a little something. And Tim Kruger produces really good porn. And
Mhm.
he has his own porn site, Tim Kruger, and he's sitting back. We don't really ever see a lot of pictures of Tim Kruger like this. He's sitting back on a couch with his a beard. He's very tall. If you know, he's almost like a ginger, if you will. He's got a
Mhm.
sleeveless shirt on. He's got the hugest dick ever. He's normally a top. He's got red socks on, which I love, and he's showing like his foot to it. And people know me that I have a foot fetish, and he's got beautiful feet and a beautiful dick. I know he's the total top, and he's very sexy, and as a producer I think he's really hot, and I'm voting for Tim Kruger this week.
All
And I'm
right.
doing it right now, and I want everybody, don't just like, actually vote. So who do you pick and why? And audience watching us live, let us know.
So, first of all, I want to say that my boo King Marcellus was the winner of last week. So, snaps to King Marcellus. But my pick this week is Jason Barrio. And even though Hot Alex Axel is very, very sexy, I have to pick this one because it's a little bit different. It's like a side by side, one of him clothed in an all a button down shirt and slacks, and then the other one is him
A button
completely naked.
down.
And he's all serious and sexy in his business clothes, and I think that's he looks fantastic. But then the other one, naked, big fat dick out there and swinging for the world, and it's just beautiful. And I love his work too. So I get off a lot of times thinking about Jason Barrio. So that's my pick for this week.
I love it. And I'm putting seven. Bryce says Hot Axel first, who is number one, by the
Yes,
way.
he is.
Latino Papo second. James says Latino Papo for me. I follow him on Twitter. Doug says Austin Walker. Bryce says Stevie. If we are going to go off resume, then Tim Kruger and Jesse Stones for me. I like that.
Oh,
And
okay.
I asked one of our listeners who hasn't voted yet to vote, and he hasn't yet voted.
You are so silly.
So shady. Okay, well, anyway. I love it.
I
Please
love it
vote
too.
though, because it keeps this segment going on, not only for us, but for Straight Up Gay Porn, who is a really good source for us on this show. And speaking of sources, you know, we really thank a lot of you guys for showing up on our Patreon page. And when you do, you get extra
Yes.
special sexy perks, and they're all going out this week, starting with
Ooh.
commercial free, as well as an extra episode. Wouldn't want an extra episode of us talking talking about hot topics?
Right.
That is coming down, and this week. You can always follow my co-host Kodi. He's a life coach. Follow him on Instagram at KMD Coaching or his personal account at Mr. Maurice. He's got a new single out, Talk About It, which is so good. I love it. And he will be singing that and other songs in our upcoming live stream for our Patreon community. Go to patreon.com/TAGSPodcast. It's patreon.com/TAGSPodcast. Grab a tier, support us, and we appreciate it. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V, or go to my Twitter X account at TAGSPodcast, where you get a preview of my Just for Fans or my Only Fans. And in the meantime, Kodi, continue having hot
gay sex.
Thank you, everybody.